Welcome to this week's Lagnapod. I am not your usual host, Rob Holbert. This is Ashley Trice. I'm here with the whole regular cast of characters who we're all going to kind of co-host together today. So my co-hosts are
Brady Petrie,
Kyle Hamrick,
Tommy Hicks,
and Scott Johnson.
And Scott's doing the tech. He's working the board today.
I'm going to try,
Yeah,
so it might be a disaster, but we'll
see how this goes. Anyway, so Brady Petrie,
yes.
you wrote the cover story this week on the potential impacts that these tariffs could have on the auto industry in Alabama.
Yes.
Which I learned from reading your story that we are the number one producer of, is that by number of factories or number of vehicles? Number of vehicles produced.
Yeah.
In the entire country.
Entire country.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, typically you would think of, South Carolina or Michigan. Michigan, I know Ford and GM still have a lot of production up there,
Tennessee's got a big factory. I mean, there's a lot of places that
but I mean, we are the number one leader in terms of vehicles produced, but there's also probably not a state in the automotive industry that has more to lose from tariffs than Alabama.
Well, I mean, I know a lot of our listeners are probably like, well, what do we care? We don't have a factory here, but our port is so involved in getting all of the parts and there. So it does matter to us.
It does.
Got that roll-on, roll-off vehicle facility they opened, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago.
That's probably why we're the number one producer is because of our port. So,
exactly.
The cars have to roll on to our land and roll off to wherever they're going next.
Right, moving on.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Anyway, so tell us what the biggest hits.
Yeah, so I mean, I was, unless you've been living under a rock for the past 3 months, you probably know that, the Trump White House has placed a 25% tariff on all automotive cars that are coming into the country. And then there's also, and this is going to be the big part for Alabama, is he's also placing a tariff on auto parts coming into the country. And, Alabama has 4 plants. We've got the Mercedes-Benz plant in Tuscaloosa. We've got the Hyundai plant in Montgomery. We've got the Mazda Toyota plant in Huntsville, and then we've also got the Honda plant in Lincoln. So
Where's Lincoln, by the way? That was a new one on me.
It's in kind of southeast of Montgomery, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I'm not 100%. I have to go back and look. But anyway, this has a huge impact on Alabama because every single one of those plants are foreign owned, and there's all kinds of parts that are being brought into the country. And these tariffs, there was a study done by a Michigan-based consulting group who looked at these tariffs across the board and said that if you're looking at like a mid-sized vehicle, you could be paying more than $8,000 more for a vehicle just based off these tariffs alone.
That's, the price range will really...
Yeah.
The $8,000 is a big deal.
It is a huge deal.
I heard the comments from one congressional person. He was like, but used cars prices are going to go up.
Yes.
Right.
And I was like, oh, great.
Right.
You got to pay more at the used car lot, too.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps...
I think he was trying to say it was a benefit because everyone's car, current cars are going to go up in price or something.
Well, yeah, but if you got to buy a car...
I know. I'm just... The logic is logic in here.
And you got to buy more wheels.
Right. But I mean, out of all the plants in the state, Mercedes-Benz is probably the one at most risk of having some things go awry from these tariffs because the report also said that most of their vehicles could go upwards of $20,000 in price just based off these tariffs.
At that level, that people will be like, oh, well.
It's just another drop in the bucket. Yeah.
But,
doesn't Nick Saban
for the
sell
workers,
the chassis for that?
Well, yes, it is. Yeah.
Well,
but I mean, for the workers and
we got to get him down to Mar-a-Lago.
Yes, we do. We got to get him down to Mar-a-Lago to start negotiating.
Hey, Coach, we need you. No, not you, Tuberville. Sit your butt down. No,
that's the show off we need. The showdown we need is Tuberville and Saban debating tariffs at Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, what if Saban ran for Senate or against Tuberville? That'd be amazing.
That'd be interesting.
Oh, I'll tell you who won in Alabama.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah, that would be no.
Florida
contest.
might be a different vote.
Yeah.
Florida would be a much different vote. 1,000%.
Well, okay, we're getting off topic here, but anyway, I would like to see that though.
Yes.
Brady. So one of the. I think maybe it was the Economist or the
supply chain professor
that you interviewed. It was like it's hard to even know like what percentage of a car, like what country has the most parts in it, or
Well, that was the most fascinating part to me, and the people that I've talked to for this story is, he basically broke it down like this. Alabama is a major exporter of high-grade coal, which is then turned around and turned into these high-grade alloys, these metal sheets that are shipped out of Mobile. They go to South America to be turned into these sheets.
which we probably don't want to do that in America because
Probably
it's
don't
dirty,
want to. Exactly. 100%. Who's going to do that?
Yeah.
But they go to South America, and then they come back into the port where they're turned into these, they're rolled into these sheets so that they can be sent to places like Mexico and turned into automobiles, which are then sent to the U.S.
Yeah,
So
where we assemble them.
These
are all assembly plants.
Exactly.
The key, right? Yeah.
100%. And so you've got so many, and that's just the metal for the framework for the car.
Wow.
That's not counting transmissions, engines, and all these, the thousands of parts that go into a car. But it's just so hard to quantify what should be tariffed. I mean, do you tariff this, high grade coal?
Yeah.
Do you tariff it once when it goes out or comes in, and then you just don't tariff it when it comes back? Do you tariff it every single time, and does that add up? I mean, there's just so many moving parts and unknowns that
literally speaking.
Yeah, literally, exactly, yeah. So it makes it almost impossible to really say, hey, this is exactly how it's going to hurt. And I think that's what I reached out to every single one of these plants in the state, and only 2 of them responded with a statement, but both the statements are like, we're monitoring this, we're kind of keeping an eye on it, see what happens. So I don't think they internally really know what's going to happen. They're just kind of crossing their fingers and hoping that cooler heads prevail on these tariffs. But I mean, the main aspect of this is the workforce. I mean, you've got tens of thousands of workers that work at these plants, and
so you're giving jobs back to the Midwest, but taking them from the South.
Taking them from the South, yeah, and that's the whole point of these tariffs, right? I mean, the Trump administration has said that it's going to force these manufacturers to build more plants in the U.S., and if that's the case, great, it brings more jobs, but what's the timeline on that? I mean, these factories are not going to be built overnight. They're going to take a couple of years, and by that time, maybe a new president, new administration.
I mean, if I were CEO of one of these companies, I would be like, he can only have one term. He may not even make it through the midterms.
Yeah.
I'm just probably going to wait. Maybe we'll take a loss for 3 or 4 years, whatever it is.
Well, I mean, and
get back to business as
right.
usual.
And I mean, the back and forth too. I mean, you've got, some tariffs that are, like the automotive tariffs that are still going forward, but then you've got other ones that have been paused for 90 days. So if you're a manufacturer or a business of some kind looking to come to America or build a plant somewhere, you don't have any kind of certainty what kind of tariffs you're going to be dealing with. And so, like you said, Ashley, why wouldn't you just wait, 3.5, 4 years to make a decision?
Yeah, lay people off, you keep a bare bones operation running, and then
right.
Yeah,
but I mean, and Shamari Figures, who has both, he's got Airbus, Austal, and Hyundai, who are all foreign-based companies.
I mean, especially since I read about this in my column too. Mm-hmm. We bent over backwards, gave them all these companies, all these incentives, practically begged them all to come here. It was the same way with the auto industry in other parts of the states. How many times have we seen Kay Ivey, putting another feather in her cap, for each of these? And now we're like, oops, sorry.
And I think Shamari...
we were just kidding.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I think Shamari kind of summed it up perfectly. He told me that, these... past 3 decades where Alabama's really become this huge player in the automotive industry is just kind of being, quote, pissed away.
Yeah.
It's just, we're seeing it really just kind of being thrown by the wayside. And I'm afraid that, if the tariffs keep going where they're going, that it's going to reverse.
I would have to think that behind the scenes, at least Katie Britt and Tuberville are definitely getting their phones blown by their constituents here. I hope behind the scenes they are telling their friend, Mr. President, that this is not a good idea.
I would hope so, and my gut tells me that one of them probably is, but the other one's probably not saying much. I won't specify which ones, but I would hope so too, because you've got
the port too. It's just,
it's such a huge impact on so many different aspects.
Yeah.
You've
our
got,
entire state economy,
right? And in my story, I didn't even get into that there is all of these retailers in the state that supply some of these parts to these factories. I mean, there are hundreds of those companies throughout the state that also, are going to be impacted by this because price of cars go up, less production you have, less workforce is needed. And it's just going to be a huge trickle-down effect. And it's going to impact a lot more people than I think, most people tend to realize.
Yeah.
So.
And I think about the fact that isn't it kind of the goal to get those jobs here with those assembly plants? And I hope that they're trying to figure all of that out or work the art of the deal.
Yeah.
To because I feel like that's the goal, to have Toyota Mazda here being assembled here. We're not rolling off vehicles to import from China. We're not bringing them in already built. We are building. We're assembling them here. But I feel like that would be. I mean, at least that sounds good in my head.
To me, I'm like, if it's giving us a job,
I think that is the overall goal to have these plants here and have more, higher paying jobs and a good workforce here and everything. But, there's certain things, and this is what the supply chain professor I talked to said, there are certain things where we have to have free trade. We have to have these rare earth minerals from China for defense and military reasons. And if, the stuff that we cannot get here, or we can, it's just way too expensive to do so.
Or we're not even close to.
Or we're not even, right.
Yeah, having the capacity to make it. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, there doesn't seem to be a real consensus on what the best way forward is. Most people, I think, are in favor of drawing a tougher stance with China and places to make sure that the U.S. isn't
if
getting...
things are broken about it, fix it with a scalpel.
Yes.
It's just...
Well,
you don't need a hammer, or like a giant hammer or whatever, a machete.
A bulldozer.
I forgot what I was... my first tool was there.
Yeah. I like the machete.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's kind of been... the trend with, this whole administration is kind of, not to get off on a tangent here, but, you've seen the same thing with Doge. Doge has really just kind of came in and cut all these, things. And now they're starting to kind of scale it back and take a more, direct approach to things. And, maybe that same thing will happen with tariffs.
I know. And I think everybody's like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Nobody wants to see their tax dollars just absolutely wasted. And, the same thing with tariffs. We don't want to see other countries take advantage of us anymore. And, I get that 100% and I'm on board with that. But there are so many aspects that are impacted by these decisions that it does need to have a scalpel taken to it, not just, like you said, a machete.
Yeah.
So...
Well, we'll see what happens. Maybe we're just still in the art of the deal making.
Well, that's what they tell me.
Yes, yeah. All right. Well, we'll be right back with the lovely, talented, beautiful, and brightly colored shirt Tommy Hicks.
Down in our Alabama town, Land Yacht Daily is on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Land Yacht Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
It's just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lanyap Daily. Get signed up now at lanyapmobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
Down in our Alabama town, Land Yacht Daily's on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Oh, Land Yacht Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
And we're back with sports with Tommy Hicks, and we have got a hot sports topic today, Tommy Hicks.
We do. The transfer portal is open.
The transfer portal is open, and we have already lost.
It's Liberation Day, as one would call it.
Our biggest South Alabama Jaguar player, arguably, I guess.
Arguably, yes. Quarterback Gio Lopez will not be a Jaguar next year. He has entered the transfer portal, and the rumors out there are that he will end up at North Carolina.
He'll be a Tar Heel.
A Tar Heel. He's going to be a Tar Heel.
That was my White Lotus.
That was good.
Gio, no.
Gio, no, don't go. But, yeah. I think I could be enticed like Gio if the reported money he will receive for making this particular move is accurate at $1 million. So,
hey, you can't blame him.
No, you cannot.
No, there's not. I would do it. Not one of us sitting at this table would turn that down. But
I'm available at the University of North Carolina.
The system itself is broken. They've got to reel this in.
It's crazy. I mean, how many Brady at 9:30 this morning when the portal opened today for the first day, and I think it's open until 26th or 28th.
26th, I believe.
26th. So 10 days.
Yeah.
We got 10 days.
Oh gosh, the worst 10 days.
And how many were there at like 9:30?
As of 9:30, there were 250 FBS scholarship athletes that had entered, and just in football.
Just football.
Not basketball, just football.
Yeah, football today. You can also do the portal and also sign today.
Yes, but there were 250 scholarship D1 players in the portal.
Like an eBay for this or something, the equivalent of eBay. How does this work? Is there a website you go on?
It's like social media.
There is actually an official NCAA place where you declare that you're in the transfer portal, and then, some can go in like Riley Leonard went in the portal last year.
Right.
And ended up in Notre Dame. Well, he put a tag on there that says no contact. Okay. Which meant I'm in the portal. I've already made up my mind.
Which you're not supposed to have been able to make up your mind, right? Because you're not supposed to be able to.
Technically.
Okay, gotcha.
Technically.
So I have some clarification on whether or not we can view the portal.
Okay, go ahead.
Apparently, it is a database only accessible to NCAA-affiliated coaches and administrators from D1, 2, and 3.
Huh.
Yes.
And NAIA and two-year colleges cannot access the transfer portal official database.
Well, there you go.
Had to clear that up for you.
Yeah.
So, the early rumors on Tuesday were that South was going to be in really deep trouble offensively, especially that there were rumors that running back Kentrell Bullock was going to get into the portal. There were rumors that wide receiver Devin Voisin was going to get into the portal. Both of those have apparently, and this is whatever time it is right now, 10 till 2 on Wednesday, they are not in the portal and not supposed to be getting into the portal. In fact, we talked about it earlier. Kentrell put up something on his social media site that says, "Bring me those fingers," or something, a reference obviously to Fusaklis and Mobile's Fusaklis. So he's, I'm looking for an NIL deal for Kentrell right there. So he apparently is going to say, if they had lost their starting quarterback, their leading rusher, and their leading receiver from a year ago, that puts a pretty big damper on your offensive plans. But now you look at it, you look at the quarterback position, you got Bishop Davenport, who had 2 starts last year when Gio was injured, and looked good in both those starts. Yeah. I mean, not dazzling, but he looked good. I mean, and he's looked good during.
He's probably been working all year, so.
Now he knows the system very well, and he looked good in spring, but Gio just was the guy, and that was understood. But with him gone now, that means that Jared Hollins, the number 3 guy, is now your number 2 guy, and he's a redshirt freshman.
Yeah.
And then you have Bubba Thompson, who hasn't played football in 8 years.
That'd be exciting to watch.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic works. The transfer portal works 2 ways.
Yeah.
So now South can go in there and try to find some. There were a couple, more than a couple of quarterbacks from other schools that jumped in the portal today. Will South go after somebody that already has some experience as well to just shore up that room? Mm-hmm. Instead of having Bishop, and then behind Bishop, if he gets hurt, you've got a little bit of a problem with a redshirt freshman who has not played on the field maybe 2 games last year when it didn't matter. And then a guy who hasn't played football in 8 years. So I would be shocked if they don't try to find someone in the portal to kind of fill that role, at least even if he's just coming in as the backup, or they see him as the backup and then put him in there, let him compete and see what happens.
I know a quarterback from Tennessee whose market has reportedly crashed.
Yes.
Since he announced he was going to transfer.
I don't know that I would. I don't care. I don't know that I would want to put up with that.
Tommy, you look like you got
I think that's called a cartel, and they're keeping him out of the market.
Well, see, I think that's a whole. that's a microcosm of
where
what
was
the
he
portal.
supposed to go? We didn't know, or
Well, there was for a while there, Oregon and Ohio State and a couple of like the big time schools were in on him, but then that got whittled down to Tulane and UCLA. And the last report I saw was
UCLA.
that yes, yeah, that his
Houston. I mean, that's a huge step.
That's.
I mean, I know
it's a
they
huge step down. I mean,
well, see, that's what this whole portal thing is about. You go in, you roll in the dice. You've got to say he was the starting quarterback for Tennessee, which made it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah.
And you're getting $2.5 million to hold that position. Okay, but then you've got agents and you got everybody else in your ear saying, you can get more.
Yeah. And
God,
if you
they
get
love
more,
you.
I get more. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then all these people out here are going to just be chomping at the bit to get you. And then all of that falls away, and then look where he's at.
Yeah.
I was telling Brady the other day, I was like, I just thought NIL was about getting NCAA on Xbox back, and I was like, that's all I wanted. I was so mad then they took it away, and
yeah.
I wonder, have they implemented NIL into the game?
No,
the game? That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. You're like building this like crazy empire team, and then you're like, oh, guess what? All your starters just left.
I could barely manage my own money, much less NIL money in a video game.
Well, I know we've been talking about this around the office the last few days, but so how do we fix this whole crazy system?
Well, you got to have regulations, first of all.
Yeah.
It's Wild Wild West. Now you can do what you want.
Baby.
And the NCAA has done a terrible job at regulating.
And they knew this was coming, too. That's what's so baffling about it.
They ushered it in.
They did.
But then they ushered it in without any rules.
Yeah. And I mean, this may be far-fetched, but I think the best way to go about it is to set an NIL cap for every team. And
well, isn't that the proposition with the settlement
that's sort of a proposition for it, but I think, there's no sense in putting like a $15 million cap on, programs like Troy and Jackson State. And
because they're not going to get there
They're
anyway.
not going to reach that number. But I think, how do you, the real question is, how do you kind of tier that for each program to make it level across the field? I don't know. That's for bigger minds than mine to prevail.
To each conference, maybe? Like, because, like the SEC would, they would all have that. And then the Sun Belt would probably be equal, I would guess.
Yeah, the cap would be for the bigger schools, just to keep them from just totally. Well, see, here's the thing with the settlement, though, with everything, they're going to jump. Scholarships are now 85 in football. Well, it's jumping to 105. So the bigger schools are going to be able to bring in more players and under scholarship than they could before, which means that pool for the group of five and the smaller schools is shrinking.
Yeah.
And then you also have the situation which can be pointed out locally with Fluff Bothwell, who didn't have any big-time offers coming out of high school because he had been hurt his junior year and didn't get to go to camps and that. But everyone, at least at South, they saw the potential that he had. Well, he comes out and he's gangbusters.
Yeah.
Well, you brought him in, and now everybody knows about him. And guess what? He's playing for Mississippi State next year because South.
Which is arguably also a lateral move. But no, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm our Mississippi State.
Well, but the main thing is that the South can't compete financially in NIL with SEC schools.
I know. I was just doing a little Mississippi State.
I like digging. Digs are good.
Rob was saying like a limit on how many times you could transfer into the portal, make a cap.
That's the key.
That seems like a good idea. And I also, there's some way to give a clawback. I know this is kind of laughable with college students, right? Somehow to give a clawback to the school. So if you've invested, in some NIL money or you time and energy into this player, and then they jump out into the portal, like, can you get a cut of their NIL money that they get?
The school stealing them should buy the other
you should buy out their contract. There should be some retribution for the leaving school to, they can turn around and
I think that closing the loop on the transfer portal is the key to all of this, because when we talked about it here in the office yesterday, is the fact that you've got like a Fluff Bothwell who can, just basically use South as a stepping stone.
Yep.
And then enter into the transfer portal after 1 year just to see what his NIL market is like. And then, boom, he's at an SEC school. And again, good for him, because that's what the market currently allows. But if you close off that transfer portal or you limit the number of times a player could transfer instead of having these guys just bounce around all the time, that cuts out a huge part of the NIL.
It would. And I think you could go back, and this is old school, I know, but I mean, the rule was that if you transferred, you had to sit a year. That was the old rule. Right. You had to sit a year to become eligible. Well, let you allow one transfer that doesn't cost you. You can go from this school to that school, wherever it is, and you don't have to sit. Yeah. If you transfer again, you have to sit a year before you're eligible. Yeah. That would cut out a ton of this. Yeah. And I mean, look locally, I hate to bring up names, but Barry Dunning. Yeah. He left McGill, went to Arkansas, didn't work out there. He left Arkansas after 1 year, went to UAB, didn't work out there, left UAB, came to South.
He'd had a
built up his name, and now he's going to Pitt. He'll be at 4 schools in 4 years. That's not how this system was built to work. That's not how it should work. I mean, I know
it's really sucking all the romance out of it, because we love to think that your player's going to play for your school, and you're rooting for for a player that loves that school, not that just loves a paycheck.
Why would you buy a jersey of any player nowadays?
I mean, that's what we were saying yesterday. This sort of started off of people complaining they couldn't make money off jerseys, and now nobody's going to want a jersey because, number one, they're expensive.
They are. Yeah.
They're very expensive. My children have asked for them. I'm like, I'm not buying that $90 jersey for you, and they're not even going to be at the school next year. Forget it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's a huge problem. And I mean, again, this all started because players wanted to get paid for giving autographs and making appearances in
which
local
is fun.
car
They
commercials.
should.
Do that.
Absolutely.
If you can get a company to sponsor you and give you money for who you are, I don't have a problem with that.
Go for it. Absolutely.
But then now you're into buying players, and they're talking about with the settlement there could be contract. I mean, it's a contract. You're like it's not an employee contract, but it's just like a contract that, I'm taking this much money from you. Yeah. But I'm not an employee of the university.
Right.
I am
But it seems like if this is just
contract. No, that's what they're calling it.
It seems like if it's just NFL Junior, which is what this has turned into.
The minor league.
That they should just use the NFL
it's always
rules.
it's always been the minor leagues, but now you can make money in the minors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
but you can't even in baseball, can you really? Don't they basically starve to death? So
well, we don't want to get on that issue. Anyway, I could do 2 hours.
Yeah, well, we're probably we're probably on our time limit for this. We could talk
you're
about
awfully
this
quiet. I mean, forget about the fact that you don't have a microphone, but
no.
Well, what? I mean, like this is y'all's. What are your thoughts?
Just say
My thoughts are NIL. Yep. The toothpaste is out of the tube. And you have to figure out a way to get some of it back in there. You ain't going to be able to tame the beast fully. You're going to have to do something.
Kyle, say Piper, no.
Piper, no. You're going to have to get this toothpaste back in the tube. There you go. There's your sentence. NIL.
Okay, well, on that note, we're gonna.
Are you happy, Scott?
I'm regretting everything.
We have not solved this problem, but we've had some fun.
Yeah, we have.
So we're gonna take a short break, and we will be back with the third and final segment of Black and White.
Just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagniappe Daily. Get signed up now at lagniappemobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
And we're back with the third and final segment of Lagnapod. Brady, you had quite the story on a melee at a horse show.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin on this.
Is melee the right word? Is it?
I'll call it a melee.
Complete.
It looked like a riot almost.
It did, and
I wish the fighting would have been like chariot.
But they were not fighting over the horses.
Jousting.
No, as most brawls tend to start, this one allegedly started over
a woman.
Well, this one was a man, but
a man or a woman,
or a woman. But like most of these stories, they make the rounds on social media before any of the law enforcement comes out and addresses it. And came across a video of a woman swinging what appeared to be a road sign that had fallen on the ground, and that led to all kinds of issues. But during the horse show, apparently this is an annual horse show out in Grand Bay. A lot of people attend it, and there was a ton of problems over the past weekend. One woman was stabbed. Another woman was shot. These are two separate incidents
shot
at this same horse show. And the woman that was stabbed, I think 4 or 5 times in this brawl. And the woman was shot in the right arm out there. Everybody was ultimately okay, but it's just the fact that this happened at the same place, just in separate incidents. I mean, it was just, that's not even accounting for the fact there were a couple people who stole some firearms, cell phones. There was a moped that was stolen at this thing. I mean,
a moped
was stolen, according to the sheriff's office.
Are the horses all okay?
He's getting away.
Ironically, the horses appear to be okay. You know, I mean, that was the thing, right? No horses were harmed in these incidents, but you know,
they're talking to each other. Like, what the?
That's a step too far.
They're just watching it all.
Yeah,
we're gonna knock each other out. The one kid that got hit from the back of the head just fell straight.
Whoa.
Just knocked out cold, but.
It sort of reminds me of that Montgomery.
The riverboat brawl with the folding chair.
Hit him with the chair.
Yeah,
you know, and there were a couple of other videos that I wasn't able to, corroborate that they actually happened. People on social media suggested that they happened at the horse show, but sheriff's office didn't know if they were or not because there weren't any criminal complaints filed. But the one video Scott was talking about there was another video of another brawl that happened completely separate from these other two, where some guy just gets absolutely rocked in the back of the head with a sucker punch and goes.
And he fell down like a tree.
Right. And so, I mean, it looked very out of hand. And apparently the sheriff's office was like involved in terms of planning for security and everything for this event. I don't know to what extent they were involved yet, but I mean, there were so many instances of violence.
Only one arrest, right?
Yes, there was in the stabbing incident. There was only one arrest.
Right.
They're still looking for the person who shot the other woman.
So there could be more arrests.
There could be more arrests coming, but as of right now, and I think in the stabbing incident, there were 3 people who ended up going to the hospital because of that one incident.
Grief.
So,
did the moped person get away?
Moped person did get away.
He's on the run.
He's on the. He or she is on the run.
He's going to max 20 miles an hour, but he's still out there.
But yeah, an absolutely wild weekend at the horse show.
Well, from a moped to drag racing, Scott, you had a story about some former officers possibly drag racing.
Yes, it was me who wrote that story, Scott Johnson. No, it was Brady.
But sorry, Brady.
No, it's okay.
I will accept credit.
Okay. I saw Scott trying to take credit for it there. But yeah, no, this was.
But you brought it up to talk about, so I thought.
I'm trying to steal it.
Yeah,
so
he is. Yeah.
I gladly.
You're just both such equally amazing writers.
There
it's hard
go.
To keep you apart.
Hard to tell the difference.
Please stop. My ego can only get so big.
You've just been talking the whole time. I mean,
I really have.
Is anyone listening anymore?
Is anybody else doing any work at this place?
Hey, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm starting to wonder. Thank you, Tommy. Shaking the head over there. Appreciate that. But like the horse show, this one also originated on social media. Somebody posted a video of 2 Mobile police cruisers apparently drag racing. Not sure where in Mobile this happened, but they are clearly Mobile police cruisers, and reached out to MPD, who was like, this is the first time we've seen this video. But they said that they believed that it happened back in 2020 or 2021, which is somewhat ironic because the first place we saw this was, I believe, on a Facebook group supporting Paul Prine, I think. And I think one of the commenters made some kind of statement about, this wouldn't have happened if Prine was chief, but I think it may have happened when Prine was chief. I don't know for a fact there, but it was.
We will clarify that.
Yes, we don't know that for a fact, but this did not happen here recently. But MPD said they are investigating it, and they don't know if the cops involved in it are still with the force or not. They don't know that yet. They're still trying to investigate, and it's also unclear who won the drag race.
Yeah, so that's all I wanted to know. And they're not even the Tahoes. I just wanted a drag race with Tahoes, but this is what are those terrible cars?
These are these little Ford Cruisers. Ford Escort, because they don't use the Crown Vics like they used to, which is a shame.
And
do they even make the Crown Vic anymore?
I don't.
That's what we need these tariffs for.
I can
bring back them in a Crown Victoria. That's what we need.
It's actually called the Brick because that's what it is. What a lame drag race. I mean, you basically have the same car that's built the same exact way.
So it's really a test of drivers at that point. Who's got the heavier foot? Who's got better control?
They're not even stick shifts.
I just
the whole thing is stupid.
It is, but the most baffling thing to me is that this allegedly happened 4 or 5 years ago, and it's just now making its rounds on social media.
That's amazing. Someone had that video.
Exactly, and it's and why now? Like, why are they posting it just now? That's the part I don't understand about this.
Because it's cool.
Well, still, like, I mean, if I look, believe me, if I had a video of Mobile police officers drag racing in their vehicles, I'd post that immediately to social media.
Oh God,
would not be able to sit on that information at all.
It makes you wonder why it's coming out now. But,
right.
We will see.
Right, Scott, I am going to talk to you about a story you did actually write now.
Yes, I do write.
Take a little break here.
You do lots of stuff. Here. Now I feel like I'm in trouble.
No, you're good.
The $60 million water park that was just announced.
Water park.
Oh yeah,
water park.
Jubilee Park is being proposed by the same people who are behind Gulf Islands Water Park in Gulfport, which is one word, as I learned this week. But it's proposed right next to the Sportsplex and new aquatic center on Halls Mill Road. That's kind of sitting on it'll sit on the corner of the I-10-65 junction. It's gonna be like a 90-acre complex. The water park's gonna be like 20 acres, so pretty comparable to the Gulf Shores water park.
Waterville.
So yeah, it's really exciting. The commissioners are really excited about it. Connie Hudson kind of been championing this whole site for years and years, is excited about it.
And it'd be a public-private partnership, so it's not just free to go use it. You'd have to. There'll be an admission fee.
It's from what I understand, unless they give them some tax incentives, the county is also not putting any money into it. It's kind of that's going to be private investment to run it and to manage it. So really exciting stuff, and hopefully there's going to be like retail stores, athletic facility, hotels, bungalows. I don't know how that came into the equation.
Park.
Yeah, 100 RV park slots. So. It's going
to be quite the complex.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
You can park your RV and go play Top Golf, go to Dave & Buster's,
and then float down the lazy river to cap off the day.
They're going to have an indoor water pool facility, kind of like OWA. I doubt it's going to be as large as that. I don't like that word.
Yeah, it's Latin.
No.
A natatorium.
Oh, gosh.
I'm surprised you're saying it like that.
Well, it came up.
You'd be like natatorium.
A natatorium.
It came up because this. It's a natatorium. The commission had it on their agenda to like approve it next to the natatorium, which they're referring to the aquatic center. I just never have heard natatorium before, so
that's Latin.
So it's old school word. That's Latin. Okay,
yeah,
no, we're not getting off.
Scott only knows Pig Latin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I actually took Latin freshman year. All right, anyway.
I knew that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Oh, gosh.
All right, anything else we want to talk about the water park?
No, that sounds exciting. I'm sure everybody will be a negative Nelly about it because that's my bill. But,
it's going to close in 3 years. Just give it time. It's like, it's not even open, man.
But is this thing supposed to be open before the bridge in Bayway? Because I thought I saw that. It's going to be open like in 2029 or something.
It's a good bet that you're going to be slipping down the water slides before you're driving across the bay.
Yeah.
Great.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cal, you had two interesting stories involving seafood.
Yes, it's a big week for seafood, folks.
What would you like to start with?
We will start with the Jubilees because that was a pretty hot topic last summer. As we all know, we're one of the only two places in the world here in
our
Japan
fish have to gasp for air, and we can take advantage of their
clamoring. They come clamoring up onto the sand in search of air. Eat me, please! I can't breathe.
Yeah.
Last summer, there was a gentleman in Fairhope who was arrested for picking up too many flounder. There was allegedly some disorderly conduct. He went to
he got injured.
He got some charges. There was some injuries, and after that,
everybody lost their mind.
Everybody lost their mind. Matt Simpson, lawmaker from Daphne, filed a bill to remove the saltwater fishing license requirement to take part in a Jubilee. Because up to that point, you had to have a fishing permit to pick up a flounder off the beach.
Which everybody felt was ridiculous because it's an age-old.
I won't
say everyone. Most people.
On the Eastern Shore thought it was bonkers.
Yeah.
But last week, we came out with a deal between Matt Simpson and the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources where you no longer have to have a fishing license to pick up a flounder or a stingray. As long
as it's with your hand.
As long as it's with your hand. You got to use the 5-finger discount to pick up an eel, a crab, a shrimp, an octopus, or whatever.
Make sure that
a Jubilee
crab is gasping.
Make sure that it's gasping for air. Make sure that this is clearly a Jubilee, and then you'll be fine. You can pick up. You still have to obey the limits. You can't just load up on what have you out there.
Look both ways before you
do. Didn't hear that from me. So that's where we are on the Jubilee thing. This bill will not have to go forward.
You can't gig them. You cannot have a gig.
If you have a gig or some kind of spear or a net, a fishing rod, you got to have a fishing license.
This kind of reminds me of I found out this during Mardi Gras because of an unfortunate event, but there's a difference between battery and harassment. Because one in harassment involves an open hand, but battery is a closed hand.
Seriously.
So
we'll have another podcast on that.
That's interesting. Interesting.
It's just so funny to like
an open hand,
just to see like how like it actually breaks down to that,
pettiness. Slap is this.
Slaps are like, you hurt my dignity. So I mean, I feel like I should be able to get something out of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you wouldn't be able to get a flounder. So sorry about that. Sorry.
Anyway, I forget. How did we get up on that? Anyway,
gigging.
Yes.
Gigging.
I still
hands, but no gig.
It's when you spear them. It's when you spear them.
Hands, but no gig.
Not to be confused with noodling.
What is noodling?
That's where you take your hand and you stick it in a hole on the creek,
like
get you a big old catfish or a snapping turtle or something.
You can't noodle anything in the bay.
I've not heard of that yet, but if you're doing it, give me an email. Give me a call because that'd be a good story.
All right. The other important seafood story is we're trying to figure out who the baby daddies of our local shrimp are.
That's exactly right.
There's some foreign baby daddies.
There's been a pescatarian povich controversy over in South Baldwin County where this group, the Southern Shrimp Alliance, called for a study of like 44 restaurants in Gulf Shores, Foley, and Orange Beach to see if their shrimp are actually from the Gulf.
And so they did DNA testing on it.
They did a DNA test, and turns out 19 of the restaurants that they tested did not have Gulf shrimp. Yeah. They had shrimp from somewhere else.
Right.
So this led to some social media outcry calling for people to name these places. Right. What restaurants are these who use the foreign shrimp?
Yeah. Release the flight logs.
Then the shrimp people, the Southern Shrimp Alliance came out.
It does kind of put you at a disadvantage too. What if they didn't test your shrimp, so you're not on the list?
You're not on the list, but nobody knows. Yeah. So there was a bunch of places that came out, like the Wolf Bay place in Foley, and then the Sunliner down in Gulf Shore said, "We got the Gulf shrimp. We weren't part of this test. Our shrimp are legit. Please come to us."
You're going to start requiring them to post their testing results.
Test results to prove.
We're wearing Gulf of America wife beaters,
And they have their shark alerts turned off.
Healthy inventory of those at all of the surf.
They sure do.
And Alvin's Island.
They sure do.
I was down there a few weeks ago, and I was like, my God.
It is very interesting times.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of people clamoring to prove that their shrimp are real and local.
Well, it is a big issue. And you can, all the local shrimpers are for these tariffs, and on that,
right.
I'm like, absolutely,
because Vietnam would get hit with like a near 50% tariff on foreign shrimp.
That's where most of them come from,
right?
We're joking about it, but it is a big issue, and especially if you're claiming that you're having Gulf shrimp, because you do have to pay more for it. Obviously,
right?
It's better.
You're helping your neighbors,
but you're claiming that you have it, and it's not. That's pretty
Yeah.
Pretty terrible. If you don't want to pay for it, that's fine. Just don't put it on your menu as being Gulf
shrimp. Unless it's the Gulf of Tonkin.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to close out this Easter weekend. This weekend, I'm springing this on you, and we didn't discuss this before. What do y'all like? What is your typical Easter family traditions?
Oh yeah.
Or what do y'all like to eat?
Well,
Are you
we
a
always
ham
do
or a lamb.
Oh, ham. Ham.
Well, we'll wake up. We'll do baskets, egg hunt at home. Last year we did the skydiving Easter bunny.
The skydiving Easter bunny.
Floribama. Easter bunny falls out of the sky. I don't know why that's
that
necessary,
scary?
but it happens.
I mean, I think my kids might have.
Here he comes. Well, it's kind of funny because you really don't know what it is until, pretty close. And then.
Do they land in the water, or does the Easter bunny land on the sand?
The sand, yeah.
All right.
And then you have
unless there's a strong wind.
And
all bets are off.
The bunny's going out of a condo.
Oh, yeah.
Popper, no!
Oh, my God. And then they block off this massive square of the beach for just this, huge Easter egg hunt. And it's like a complete, it's wild. Yeah. All the kids are just.
Do they just bury them in the sand?
Oh gosh, trying to find eggs in the sand.
Oh,
I can't even imagine.
God, you might lose a contact in that.
Just pose them off afterwards.
Yep.
That.
Yeah, there is. So we got the standard Easter shindig. The baskets, the eggs, and all that. But I love to watch. There's this great Fred Astaire movie from 1948, The Easter Parade. It's a great love story about these two dancers. Got Judy Garland in there too. They fall in love.
Is this the first Easter? Y'all?
There's a viewing coming up. Of the Easter Parade. So we shall see how that goes. But it's a great movie. I love it so much.
Good movie for him to show his girlfriend this movie.
No, no.
I've been told sources say that she's pumped for it.
Oh,
so we'll see.
Aren't you supposed to watch Passion of the Christ or something?
We
got to do the Easter parade first.
We have a tradition. We have a movie tradition in our house on my daughter and I do, at least, and it started with my mom, and we watched Steel Magnolias.
Love Steel Magnolias
because it's set from Easter to Easter. They started the egg hunt.
Oh,
the egg hunt.
I didn't realize
that's our Easter movie, and we sit around and watch that.
That's a good one.
I've never heard that before. I like that.
Yeah.
What? You never heard of Steel Magnolias?
No, watching Steel Magnolias on Easter every year.
Okay.
Watch Fred Astaire.
So, but we do ham some years and lamb some years. I think
love ham.
We're going to do a lamb year this year, but always deviled eggs, even though they're $1 million this year.
My sister loves those things.
I can't get off the track. Ready to go.
Just get. I'm getting past Kyle's just love ham comment. Yeah, but we don't do much. Easter wasn't always just a huge thing for our family. The one thing that my wife and I do now is we color a few eggs just to kind of keep in touch with the holiday, I guess. But other than that, we don't really do anything much nowadays. Yeah. But I mean, back in the day, obviously,
there's the Easter parade you can watch.
There's the Easter parade we can watch.
Movie, not that.
I don't know about your significant other, Kyle, but I know mine would veto that immediately.
We're going with John Wick 4 at my house.
That's probably a better
seriously?
choice.
Well, yeah, if it's there, we'll watch it. Yeah. We ain't watching the Easter parade, I can tell you that much. I'm sure that it is. Poseidon Adventure, maybe? Yeah, something good. No, we'll relive the Masters from last week, and then.
Doesn't it usually fall on Easter weekend? I feel like
sometimes it falls. Sometimes it does.
I know that's like a tradition. Like, we'll get
all these
get full of ham and lamb, and then we'll sleep to the Masters.
Yeah.
Yeah, ham and lamb.
Ham and lamb? Ham and lamb. What's one word? Ham and lamb.
Yeah.
We can't hear you.
That's right.
You don't have a microphone. All right.
I think that's enough nonsense. So we will close up shop this week, and we will see you next week. Everyone have a happy Easter. Hope the Easter Bunny's good to you. And that's all. Bye. The Lagnapod is a Something Extra publishing production. Executive producers are Rob Holbert and Ashley Trice. Music is by Sunpole Sounds and Electro Animals. Only subscribers like you have access to this podcast. tell your friends they can sign up at my.lanyapmobile.com. For advertising opportunities, please call 251-450-4466.